Hello ladies and gentlemen, I am PANCZASU and you're watching Endless Legend video playthrough slash tutorial where I show you how to dominate all life on Earth, or rather Auriga, as the voters. Now, you have probably noticed that this videocast is going live very late. I'd like to excuse myself. First things first, I did had a soaring headache for most of the day, so I didn't record it as early as I usually do. Secondly, however, I actually did record this videocast early, but the sound for some reason didn't record. As in, no sound at all was recorded. The footage is fine, I've got the video footage, just no sound. I could have obviously commentated over it and pretended everything is fine, but there would be no music and no sounds and no anything. And, you know, it would be fairly lame, and it would also take me a long time to get to something that I would consider a half product, if you know what I mean. So I'd much rather re-record everything. And yeah, also now I know what is going to happen, so I'll be even happier. Yeah, but seriously, that is kinda annoying. So this videocast is also probably going to be fairly short, just because I want to get it out ASAP, just to be able to get it out today, because it is really late right now. And this is unfortunate what happened, but hey, we'll go with that. So first things first, something I forgot to do for some reason in our first video is the fact that I did not actually talk to the Silex, and they can provide me, well, first of all I need to end my 10, and those Silex can provide me with a faction quest, minor faction quest, which can be good or bad, and I also encountered some necrophages. I forgot this happens. If I remembered, I would probably just disband those guys on last 10. But I didn't. Well, I guess it's good. I'm not metagaming right now, so it's good. Alright then, so first things first, let's go back into our main army, which consists of one unit. So powerful for our main army. And let us go ahead and talk to those guys, see what they want. Pali, now... Oh, that's interesting. It's actually the same quest I got last time when in this videocast that I'm not going to upload. Except the reward is actually different. It's wine. It used to be bones. I actually prefer wine because it gives me extra happiness. So I'm not gonna say no to that. Either way, I'll have to go into... It's actually the exact same location. I have to go over there, kill some buddies, which I will not be able to really do. Reason being, I know those quests by heart right now. They are very common. Fairly common, let's put it this way. And usually what happens in them is fairly simple. You go into a ruin and there's usually 2 or more frequently 3 neutral units that you need to kill. And what's the special deal about those ruins? Well, I mean, those units, well, they are usually also not the same type of unit. There can be, for example, 2 Centaurs and 1 Ursus, or there could be a different combination of minor faction units. Either way, you're not going to have the best of luck fighting them if you only have 1 Marine, so I'd rather like to avoid it. Anyway, let's go ahead and visit this ruin, see what is inside. Probably nothing. Oh wow, there's actually something. Wow. You're probably not going to believe me now, but in my last video, the one that got cancelled, I mean, I found, like, I don't want to exaggerate, let's say 10 ruins, more or less. 10 ruins is still a pretty big number. They were all empty, despite the fact that I had the tech and a hero as well, because this hero was also finding empty ruins. But now I actually found dust, which is good. And actually reminds me that I made the same mistake again, which is, right now I'm working on food. Sounds nice, right? I need to have as much population as soon as possible, right? Wrong! I need to get a sea storage out as soon as possible, because the faster I make it, the faster I'll gain access to an additional source of food, which will exceed the source of food I would gain if I were to continue working on food with my 2 lonely workers. So, by all means, it's better to focus on production, because this will give me access to sea storage faster. Also, this allows me to buy it out faster as well, because the more I'm done with the production of the swing, the less I'll have to spend dust in order to finish the production. After I'm done with seed storage, however, I'll still not go for public library, even though it's something I need and want as a voter, that's true, but right now I need to play catch-up. It feels like for some reason, the first 9 turns were relatively rough for me. I still only have 2 population, and I only have 2 structures, one of them being an extractor, not exactly very useful for me right now. So I need to play catch-up. The best way to play catch-up is just to make standard structures that give you food and production, because then you can make everything else that you focus on as a faction that much easier. So even though public library has already started, we already started production on it, I'm not going to finish it. Instead, I'll go for Mill Foundry as soon as it becomes available. Of course, after seed storage is also done. And then I'll still not go for public library, instead I'm going to go for borrow streets, just because by making borrow streets over here, as you can see, I'll gain extra 6 science, extra 3 production and 1 food, and also an additional 1 science and 1 dust from the fact that I have extra district in my city. It will lower my city's approval by 10%, but it's not a very big deal, since it will still be content overall. And in general, I would rather have this borrow street. Now, of course, this will not be as efficient science-wise as the library, which gives me 10 science and also increases my science overall. But public library also drains my dust reserves, and additionally, it doesn't give me any science, any food or production, which is something that I'm lacking the most right now. So, I think I explained why I'm going to do this. Now, the other thing is, I will metagame a little bit, because there's something that is a little bit disturbing that I found out. Remember the bug that caused us to end our Broken Lords playthrough? Yeah, it's still here, it definitely is. So, it's not a big deal until somebody declares war on us, and the first faction to declare war on us will definitely be those guys, because AI tends to just use a timer to decide when to declare war on us, and soon enough those guys will declare war on us. I'm curious if they'll declare war on the same time as the last video, which was on 10/22. So, it's a little experiment we can make. If they declare war on us on 10/22, we officially know that AI uses a timer. Anyway, those guys keep exploring, and I did not actually find any ruins up north, so I'm going to now disband those guys and get rid of them. Now, last time I went actually south, but I was curious what would happen if I went north. There was nothing there. South holds quite a few, how they called, ruins, but it also holds the red AI. Which, spoiler alert, yeah, I know I'm not supposed to know about it, but this is actually the case, and I do not want to anger yet another AI. Now, I have trust in the devs to fix this bug because it's quite game-breaking. As soon as possible, there is the red guy, by the way. And I think that when that happens, everything will be fine. Hopefully this will be done by tomorrow, but I can't guarantee this. So we'll see when the next video comes live. It's obviously possible to play with this bug that we're experiencing, but it is not by all means recommended. Alright, then let's keep exploring north and see what we can find. We found another minor faction. It's actually the boss. Boss are very good in no matter who you play as, except for obviously Broken Lords, because they increase your food production in every city, which is quite substantial. But as a cavalry, they are not entirely useful. I mean, they are not useless certainly, but they are not the best either. But still, there are so many better minor factions that I could assimilate, that I want to assimilate first, that I'm not going to bother with the boss at all. Alright, a mill foundry, we now have access to it, which is good. Let's buy on the seed storage ASAP, and let's work on mill foundry as well. And this will actually start generating some workers, even when we work on production, so that's good. By production, I mean obviously industry. So let us talk to the Sister of Mercy, see what they want us to do. They want us to destroy an enemy city. That's actually, again, the same quest, except now in a different region. And in return, they give us these 37. That's not very useful. Last time they told us to destroy this city, and now they tell us to destroy a different city. I could not be bothered, I'm not going to do this quest. So I'll continue exploring, see what other factions want from me. If those guys also ask me to complete the same quest, I'm going to cry a little bit, because if I remember correctly, it was also a very difficult one. Alright then. Now, those marines, what do I want to do with them? Continue exploring. There is a risk that I'll stumble upon yet another AI if I continue exploring, because there is the violet AI to the east of here, but I'm hoping that this will not be the case, and I do want to find some extra ruins, and I have some ruins in sight, so this is good. I still want to kill those guys, I mean sell them to a slave market, which is almost the same really, as soon as possible, just because those guys drain my treasury by quite a lot. When we go into our military screen, you can see that each army I control costs me 5 dust flat out, and each marine also costs me some additional dust every 10. So this army costs me a lot, and unless it discards me a lot of dust, it's actually not worth to have it. Which is fairly annoying, as you might imagine, but it's normal and acceptable. Alright, 40 dust. This justifies me keeping this army alive for a little bit longer, so I'll just continue exploring some more minor faction ruins, I mean villages. Not a big deal, nothing I'm too concerned with. Let's talk to those guys, see what they have to say for themselves, maybe something good, maybe something bad, probably. And they want to have 5 titanium. I can easily do that, but unfortunately all it does is it allows me to pacify them. Not entirely something that I would consider worth it, but at the same time, it means that it is a very easy quest to fulfill, and it allows me to fulfill my faction quest rather easily as well. So, with that said, I'll now not go for bar streets or public library, instead I'll go for Titanium sector as soon as possible, and also rush a new settler to try and settle in this region, fulfill this faction quest, and then probably just burn my city down. Yeah, I know, it's kinda crazy, it will cost me 1 population to just settle a new city, but when we look at Fitz production, I don't want to live in... What happened? I don't want to think about what happened. We weren't attacked, something else happened somewhere else. So let's just ignore it. Either way, as you can see, this area doesn't really give us anything. There's a bit of science down south, and I think this is about it. Mostly this area is focused on food, and that's not something we are overly concerned with. And I just don't want to live here at all. So make a city, fulfill my faction quest, assimilate the Ursus, and just ban my city. Which is a very inefficient way of doing things, but I just don't want the Ursus to be on my side, and I don't want to live here because the city place over here is by and large fairly useless. Alright, what do I want to do with my hero, however? I want to keep her close. I mean, last time I endangered her a little bit too much, she took some unnecessary damage, and I kinda want to keep her near me, just in case the enemy AI declares one of me faster than last time, which would be obviously fairly bad, as it would mean that I will suffer some... Well, I'll suffer death, as simple as that, if I let them attack too soon, or even worse, I'll suffer some game-breaking bugs, which would also be fairly annoying. Even more dust, I'm having incredible luck, man! I guess this is because I'm having to re-record this videocast, the game tries to make up for it, and it's giving me all the dust in the world, which is nice. I can now buy out Mill Foundry, which makes me obviously rather happy. I can also make borrow streets, which is what I will do before I go for any public libraries. Then again, borrow streets cost a lot, public libraries not so much. Maybe I'll go for those first. They'll also give me access to some better technology faster, and I can use some of this technology in the future. And it might be a good idea, all things considered. It might be a good idea. Those streets just cost so much, it makes me kinda cringe when I think about it. Alright, how much dye do I need? 10 if I have one city, but more if I have more than one city. And this will increase my influence production on the entire empire, in fact. So this is fairly nice. I could use some influence. Now the thing is, last time I actually got runes that gave me influence, 30 influence, which allowed me to go for some very powerful empire plan on 10-20. Right now this is not the case, but still I will not probably have a city before 10-20, so all things on empire plan will surely still be very, very cheap as a result of that, and I should be able to go for whatever I please to go for, so this is good. Let's gonna continue exploring, see what there is to see. There's another minor faction, certain village. I may ask them for a quest just to see if they have anything worthwhile. Maybe something that is easy to fulfill and that gives me amazing benefits, but I seriously doubt this is going to be the case. Either way, let's keep exploring. The enemy territory is nearby, but I have... those guys have already discarded me, so it doesn't matter if I discard them right now or not. Now I need to... Oh, it's the mouse quest. I hate it so much because it spawns two powerful quest armies that will kill you. So I might as well disband those guys already so they do not drain any dust from my treasury, and to make no mistake, those guys would be killed. Still, they paid for themselves, they found at least 120 dust, maybe even more. I would have to rewatch my videos to make sure, but they were worth it, by and large they were. Next then I'll be able to buy out the public library, so this is good. I should consider going for a settler as soon after that, because honestly I do need to make another city, I do need to assimilate those guys. And then we will see what happens. If the AI declares war on us, then I'll actually keep my second city and use it for... I mean, I want to say production purposes, but this area doesn't actually give you production, which is really bad. It just gives you food and dust. So I guess I could use it as my dust producing city, but let's not put voters are a bot, and they do not make the best use of dust either. And since I do not even have the technology for slaves, prisoners and volunteers, nor do I intend to get it anytime soon, it's just like, meh, to have a city over here, and I would rather not. Anyway, let's talk to the Spire people, and oh, alright, make sure there is no enemy in the region for 5 turns, in return they give me influence. Well, this is all nice and dandy, but this is too close to the red player's area, so I'll probably not bother fulfilling this quest. I'll just walk away and ignore those guys completely, which may not be the nicest thing I could do, but it is something I'll do regardless. And... oh, Apparently somebody killed those quest armies and I gained Blood Crystal Fort. That's highly amusing. Anyway then, let us see what I can do. Well, first things first, I have several options, but the only viable option that I would consider going for right now is going for the Dawn Officer. I will need those guys in order to fight the Necrophages, because those guys can hold the line, unlike the Marines. And even though Marines are fairly tanky, they are not supposed to stand in the front line and fire at the enemy Necrodrones, which are far more superior battle-wise to my Marines. Dawn Officers, however, are fairly nice. They have bonus against flying creatures as well, because those guys are essentially jumpers from the movie/book Jumper. So they can hold their ground, and they are fairly good counter than the Necrophages. Not the best. They still have relatively meh stats, nothing special there, but they have block, they have flying slayer, and they have charge. More than enough to keep the Necrodrones at the bay, allow the Marines to fire, and actually maybe even sometimes kill the Necrodrones via the use of their axes only. So this is good. What do I want to go for next? I do not really care about tier 1 titanium and / glass steel weapons. I'll probably go for them in era 2. Also deep generator. This is awesome. This is something I was talking about. I'm actually surprised it's already visible. I don't think it was like that before, but yeah, I might as well show it to you. This is what I talked about. This 20 here, you can see all over here when I hover over this technology. This means that I need to spend 20 holy resource in order to use the deep generator. But as you can see, oh no, it's actually a different thing. It just gives you a flat out bonus to everything in your city. Regardless, it's awesome to have, you just need to have your resource. Holy resource, that is. Anyway, right now I want to focus on Dawn Officers. Afterwards, what do I want to go for next? I will need happiness, but what I will need even more is dust, actually. And yes, I know I said that Voltas don't care about dust too much, but having a safe stockpile never had anybody in the past. I mean, it's better safe than sorry. Having this extra... No, go back, you stupid... Whatever. Having this extra dust will make me feel safer, because I'll be able to buy out things more frequently, and just benefit more from it in general. Alright, Pamela Library will be done in the next turn, so after that let's focus on Titanium Extractor and work on it as soon as possible. Can I make it finish in 2 turns? No. Can I make it finish in... It doesn't matter, does it? Oh no, I should keep one guy working on production. Let's do just that, I'm fine with that. And let's try to make sure that we gain more population as soon as possible as well. After I've finished creating this mine, I'll obviously go for a cellar. And then I'll need to make infantry, as in, not infantry but marines, because I will be attacked, there's no doubt about it, and I'll need to do this regardless, even if I didn't know that Necrophages are probably going to declare war on me on 10/22. Now then things will go dicey, because this bug that I talked about and we've seen in action before will go live. It only affects you when you fight against a major enemy. When you fight against a minor army or a quest army, this will not happen. This is because, as we discussed in the past, this bug is actually directly tied to the diplomacy system rather than anything else. So what this means is simply that yeah, what does it? It means that when you kill something, AI goes dumb, it doesn't know what to do, because it's supposed to take some decisive action after it loses some units, or after it sees that you lose some units, but now it does not. It just goes completely brain dead and it breaks the game. So this is the problem right now. Alright, so what do I want on this hero? I do want no idle hands. I need to give my units as much XP as possible. So let's apply that. I also do want to re-equip my hero, because she can go for some extra DPS. So by all means, I'll gladly do just that. Actually, with a shield, she becomes a Night Slayer. That's interesting, but I don't care about her being a Night Slayer, honestly, because she is going to face Necrodrones and no Knights at all. So let's go for that. I don't care about her having any sort of armor, although she is actually kind of tanky for our ranged hero. She can hold her ground and defend against enemy units for quite some time, even when she's directly exposed to the enemy. But still, she's not supposed to do that, and as such, I will not bother equipping her with any sort of armor. Alright then, let's continue exploring this area-ish. Isn't there an enemy? Yeah, there are broken lords nearby. But I think I can explore slightly to the west. I think it will not be that bad, and maybe I'll discover some ruins. No, I just found an area which is actually fairly okay, because it has a ton of food, and it also has some science here and there. I mean, this area, yeah, it's nice, it gives you happiness, it gives you some science, some production, food, lots of all things, in fact. Here, I could settle. Here, I don't want to, but I have to. So yeah, it's fairly annoying, but hey, sometimes things just are the way they are. Right, I could go for a quick settler, but I would stop myself from getting a 4th population. I would rather not. Instead, I'm going to start working on... I am already working on Titanite. Alright, so I can start working on a Marine. I will need a Marine, so before I do that, let us retrofit him a little bit. Now, what does a Marine need? A Marine needs protection. Because, unlike the current Rangers, he's not as much of a glass cannon, he doesn't have the same awesome stats. However, he has amazing stats in defense, which is unfought for ranged unit. But yeah, in defense, it's actually fairly good. It does have net slash, so it's very good at killing infantry. It has sharp sense, so he's good at sustaining, you know, arrow damage. And he's got block as well, which gives him increased defense against melee attacks, which basically means that he's got increased defense against everything except magic, which doesn't really come into play right now. So what I can do is just equip him with all the best armor. And why am I doing this? I mean, surely I don't want this guy to engage in melee combat. I doubt that he will be engaged in melee combat. There's no way I can produce enough Dawn officers quickly enough in order to have them ready before the enemy invasion comes through. So the Necrodons will fly in and they will try to kill my Marines. And even if I do gain like 1 Dawn officer, he will not be enough. I need to have some Marines, otherwise I'm in trouble. Alright, do I want to focus on making more population as soon as possible? Yes. I'm in fact willing to spend some dust on it, just because if I get more population faster, I'll be able to start making a settler faster, which is more important than getting a marine faster, just because I want to fulfill this quest and have a new city as well. Even though I might ban the city, I'm still on 2 sides. I mean, banning a city is a horrible waste, but having it is also waste because this place is a wasteland. See what I did? That wasn't really smart. Anyway, what do we want in our first Empire Planet edition? Well, we do not want to go for dust at all, because obviously this is not what voters are about. And even last time when I was able to go for everything, because I had like 70 something influence, I had this much. Even then, I did not actually go for economy and population, just because if you can go for everything on 1020, don't. It's usually better to save it up for 1040 and 60 when you have to reinstate your empire plan, when you probably have more cities, so your empire plan will become more expensive and you will need to have more influence by then in order to continue using your empire plan. As such, it is recommended to stick to just 2, possibly 3 upgrades in your empire plan. I mean, if I had enough influence, I would actually gladly go for this kind of thing, because it's still okay, bad reaction is good. Even as voters, in early game you are going to buy out quite a few things. But right now that situation is actually fairly low. I just bought out a bunch of things, so even if I could, I would actually not go for a buyout. And I will stay content with reduction cost of units, which is really important, and more science on city, which is exactly what the voters need. So this is nice. I finished creating titanium extractor, so soon I'll start having titanium and I'll be able to use it as well. Fairly nice. Next then I'll start making a cellar, again very nice. I already prepared to create the works for my marine. I'm heading back. Things are looking okay until the enemy declares war on me and backs the game out. I still have absolute trust in the developer that they will fix it, this issue quickly. And well, apparently nobody tried to attack this final faction because they actually didn't care. I mean, nothing happened and I fulfilled the quest. This is hilarious. So I get influence. Good. I could use some extra influence always. It's never bad to have extra influence. So anyway, let's continue moving backwards to my city and let's start working on a settler. I can buy out a marine. I would rather focus on buying out a settler as soon as this is possible. Right now I'll gain him in 3 turns. He costs an enormous amount of dust in order to buy out, but after I work on him from 1 turn, maybe, just maybe, I'll be able to buy him out, but maybe not. We'll see how it goes. And afterwards I'll go for Dawn Officer. No, there's no doubt about that in my mind. I need some kind of a melee unit desperately. And 1022! Necrophages declare war on me. I knew it! It's a timer, guys! So, what I always thought is the case is actually the case. You really don't want to explore the map and find new AIs in this state of the game, because they will declare war on you several times after you discover them just because they want to. There's no doubt about that. It might be tied to the influence, but I seriously think that this is too much of a coincidence that they declared war on me on exactly the same turn, and I'm very certain now that they just wait for X amount of turns and that's it. Obviously this is something that will be changed in the future. Right now this is early alpha, which is still very advanced for what it is. but yeah, this is not the best. Alright, Seller is still going to take 2 turns regardless, which is fairly unfortunate, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and redesign my Dawn Officer. This guy looks buff, but don't worry, he's going to be even more awesome once he charges at the enemy. Obviously, he'll be right there in the front line, so there's no question. I do want to give him as much protection as possible. Now, do I want to give him a 200 weapon for extra damage, or do I want to give him a shield in order to defend the enemy and take more blows? Now, there are 2 possible ways to go from here. Firstly, I could make him a tank and leave him as such, and he'll be fairly tanky, be able to survive a bit more attacks from the Necrodons. But do you know the problem? Yeah, Necrodons. They are very good at killing cavalry. So Necrodons and Dawn Officers kinda counter each other actually. So those guys, even when I make them as tanky as possible, will have a hard time fighting Necrodons. On the other hand, if I give them this, then not only do they look boss, but also they lose block, which is fairly bad. But the thing is, they look boss and they have way more attack than they otherwise would. I mean, look at that. This is a extra 6 attack, which is fairly insane. And I also gain 2 initiative, which is fairly important. I do want to act with them as soon as possible. And the thing is, those guys have charge, so they are most effective on the first combat turn, 10. Because what happens is, they will only charge at the enemy on the first turn, then they will probably stay next to the enemy and protect my range units, right? So they need to deal as much damage as possible on their first attack to make sure that they knock the enemy out completely in the first charge, and then they'll simply be attacked by less creatures, and they will not need the extra defense out again from having this shield. So as such, I think it's better idea to equip with Dawn Officers with a 200 weapon. This is not necessarily always the case, you don't have to do this, and it is also obviously very situational, but in my eyes right now this is what I want to go for. If I were facing Broken Lance, however, remember, then go for this, because shield does give you block 1 gives you extra defense against melee units, and Broken Laws love this Star Wars. I mean, AI doesn't, AI is dumb, but in the future when AI evolves or when there is multiplayer, you want block against melee units on your cavalry units. Alright, so let's apply those changes. This Dawn Officer now will cost me quite a lot of production, but it's still okay, because of our apply plan, it will take only 5 turns to make him, and then he will be simply very, very powerful. I mean, not the best, but he'll provide me with enough protection to withstand one enemy army at the very least, especially if there is no hero to lead the enemy army. But there might be, it depends. AI sometimes leads its army, sometimes it doesn't. I'm really hoping it will not, honestly, right now. Alright, Seller is almost done, 1 more turn and he'll be here. I still cannot buy out Dawn Officer. I'm tempted to buy out a Marine, but I would rather not. I do want to save my dust and buy out the Dawn Officer, because this is simply a more important unit for me right now. Do I want to stay in the city? No, I do not. Reason being that if I do that, then the enemy will be able to besiege me, and it will be very difficult to fight the enemy back. Right now, sieges are, as you can probably tell, kinda poorly implemented, so you cannot reinforce your siege from outside, or from you cannot also reinforce units that are fighting next to the city when the city is besieged either. So regardless, you want to keep all your army in one place, and right now I don't think the enemy will try to invade my city. If they do, then I lost. But I do not even see the enemy right now, so I'm willing to take the risk and just end the turn again. And in fact, this video is almost 30 minutes long right now, and because it is so late, I feel like I need to upload it ASAP, and 30 minutes is a fairly good length for a video, I would say, regardless. So I'm going to end it right here and just rush uploading it as soon as possible to make sure you guys have what you want to watch. And also, yeah, I'm not sure if you're going to see another videocast tomorrow. I will record it, but if there is too much of this bug error, then I'll wait for the devs to fix it first. In this case, I'll probably post some Dungeon of the Endless playthrough, because the game has evolved quite a lot. It doesn't have multiplayer yet, but it soon will, and I have quite a bit of expertise in Dungeon of the Endless, as you might tell. I could help you people quite a bit by explaining the current meta of the game. So this is something I could do. Why not? Regardless, I will not let this channel be idle. I do want to make videos as often as possible, though, as I said, tomorrow they might actually nothing might be there. So there's that, just a little bit of a warning and heads up. Either way, I don't want to move this army, so thank you very much for watching. It was PANCZASU, also known as the Mighty Mixpire. If you enjoyed what you've seen, then please, by all means, do leave a like, leave a comment, all this good stuff. It helps me a lot, and why not settle a city? And since I will burn my city to the ground, let's settle in a place that gives me the most dust possible, and also in a place that I can reach in one turn. So this is actually a good place. It's in the center of big dust area, and it is also going to provide me with a bit of food and production. So if I do decide to not burn the city down, it is not the worst place ever, though honestly it is fairly bad as well. I mean, this is a better place if I were to stay in this region, because it also gives me a lot of science on top of production and food, but I seriously am going to burn the city. I really am. As soon as I actually incorporate those guys into my army, which I can do fairly... No, close. For crying out loud, really. Oh well, whatever. I can buy out the Dawn Officer, which is good, and get Marine in the next turn after that, which is also good. Radata, what do you want to do? I mean, I guess I could start working on on a Marine Knight Intense. I mean, what's the point of even trying? I mean, just to give it the summit. Oh, actually starting the Earth takes a bit of time. So let's start working on that. Have my guy work on that so that the city pays for itself. And prepare to salt the earth after the city, why not? So anyway, thank you for watching again, and I'll see you online.